Welcome back, everybody. Let's just jump right into it. The suspension on the Mk1 Rabbit isn't very good, and it's just come to this. I'm going to replace it with a coilover suspension. Maybe if you follow my Instagram, you saw me replace everything like this. I got a bunch of junk from a guy. The wheel, and then undo the bottom bolt. Maybe forget about that. Remember these beam bushings from when I did the gas tank? Those are out. We're going to take out the rear struts and throw those right on the ground. The control arms in the front need some attention too. We're going to pull them off, get them out of the way. All the old stuff's coming off first. This is how the struts actually come off up top. The front struts are much bigger. So let's make ourselves a little room here while we put everything together. Don't worry about that mess. So we got to cut the rubber ends off of these. And then what we're going to do is put together a great big socket, a long bolt, and a couple of washers, and use that to pull this right out. This is just something you do when you don't have a fancy puller, but it works. Pops right out of there. Might as well get these parts cleaned up. And like many other things, I'm gonna put a coat of paint on them. Don't forget to wear a proper breathing apparatus. These are the polyurethane bushings to replace the old rubber one. They are two-piece so that you can split them apart and slip them into place without having to use a press. This is a little bit of grease that is to help them go in, but also to help prevent squeaking once they're installed. We apply this liberally to own the grease. And once we've got them plenty lubed up, they pop into either side. Eventually, and then there's a metal section. It's where your bolt rides when you attach everything together. That goes down through the middle of both of those. And once they're bolted in, the pressure makes them act like one bushing. Nice. The control arms off of the car were dented up and in pretty bad shape, so instead I opted to use a pair that I got in a trade. I still had to take the original ball joints out of those, which was kind of a pain. So I ran out of black paint, and I picked up the very next can I had, which happened to be gold. So let's move on to putting the ball joints into the control arms. Got some new ones. They slip into the end, and they're held on by 3 fasteners. We line those up with the holes, throw the fasteners through, tighten it all up. These are the replacement coilovers, and that's the original strut. You can see how much different they are, but there's a top piece that needs to go on there, which I also got new parts to replace. We have to disassemble the top of the strut and put it on the end here, and that's how it attaches to the car. It also lets it turn, which, you know, cars need to turn. While we're doing all this, I decided it would be a good time to put these brake lines in place. Got those brand new. They look great. We can now put the bushing for the beam in place, and that all just lines up right here. You can hear my neighbor's motorcycle right now. We're going to move back to the front. Got the control arm in place. So now let's put the strut on. Couple of bolts up top. The bolts on the bottom go to the steering knuckle. The top hole is slotted, and this special bolt is made to adjust camber. Camber is good, but too much makes your car look like it stepped on Hot Wheels. Everything in front's back together, and I was able to remember to do a measurement between the fender and the hub of about how high the car should be. It's not exact, but it'll get us in a ballpark that will be suitable to move the car around. This is only a height adjustment. We're going to have to do an alignment of some sort later too. But let's move to the rear. The back of the car is much simpler. There's one bolt that goes through the bottom and then one nut that attaches the top inside here. Once this is all in place, it's attached. I didn't get any fancy polyurethane for these parts yet. There's no camber adjustment back here, but I did measure for the height about where I wanted it. Get that up there. Throw this measuring tape on it to see if we're about where we want to be. And then we use this big old guy to tighten it up and lock it in place. Now that the job is complete, let's look at before. And after. I just want to thank you guys again for supporting D&D Sluggers. I hope you enjoy these videos. Come back soon for more car videos and hopefully music. I assure you I am a musician. And don't forget my catchphrase.